Yes, everybody, welcome. This is the first time I'm saying these words, the summer release of 2024. I'm going to go over things that aren't in pilot and things that you don't have to pay additional money for. Let's get into it. This is the first you're hearing this. Perfect. First up is the Automation Lightning app. Don't be a fool like me. Don't go into the app launcher and just start typing in Lightning or start typing in Flow. That won't get you there. The only way to get there is by typing in automation. I think this is especially cool. I think that they are going to add a lot of new things to this. Me personally, for my org, where I think this is its coolest is everybody on my team is in flow. Workflows are retired, process builders definitely retired. So if you're a declarative builder, you're constantly in flow. And as your orgs get more complicated, as your orgs get more robust, it's easy to be like, oh, I was in that opportunity flow, or I was in that opportunity flow. It's all a blur. I was just solving problems and putting out fires. I'm going to use this tool with my team so that we can easily see when was something last touched, what day was it last touched, just that very quick view, that high level view for us to quickly see who touched what and when. And it's not just a back and forth Slack message waiting for somebody to get out of their meeting to confirm, yes, I was in that create flow earlier. Yes, that has full parity with prod now. I did push the changes. I am just going to go into the automation app and search there. Obviously, with aired flows, when everything catches on fire, it's also nice to go here. I think this is something that's going to be enhanced and added upon. I mean, if you look on the left-hand side, the flow community or learn about flow, obviously those are nice to haves. But if you're thinking like, what's the most important, those seem to be placeholders for other stuff that is yet to come. This is just my theory, but like obviously this feels like a very new, fresh idea where they're going to add more improvements from here.
I
Christy,
don't,
what was up?
yeah, I don't think it adds a ton of value yet,
Mm.
except for the errored flows is on the same page because you can already create list views for your flows. Like that's how we manage them already. So it's really just putting these two things on the same page, which,
Which saves lazy people like me time. You're talking about creating a list view. Do you know how many button clicks that is? Good Lord.
but you still have to create list views here too. So it's literally the
So
same page, but just with the errored flows on it and a link to the community that, let's be honest, you'll probably very rarely use. So
very
for
true, which is why my theory of
people,
them being placeholders is solid.
yes, for new people, I can see that this is maybe helpful, but I feel like it's not adding a ton of value yet.
I am going to get helpfulness out of it now from the recently modified, just because we are a fast-paced org and we have multiple people all the time in them. So I disagree with you slightly there, but yeah, I think more is going to be added here. So knowing that it's here and using it now, I think is important.
Mark put a link in the chat with a blog he wrote about how to make it better. So
Yes,
check
Mark,
that out.
clutch. I'll put that as a link in the slide deck too. All right. Getting a little bit more dynamic, lightning page enhancements. I think, and I've said this many, many times now, where it just seems like we're really accelerating on the lightning page enhancements, where they're finally listening to us and giving us more of what we need. Big one here, adding custom fields on dynamic forms from the point of creation. So envision this with me. You're making a new field and you go through the next buttons. You just go on autopilot. Yes, I want to add it to this page layout. Yes, I want these people to view it. You'll now have in that trail, in that workflow, you will now have another page to say, hey, do you want it to add to this dynamic form? Keep in mind, that additional page, that additional offering will only appear if you are creating a field on an object that already has dynamic forms enabled. So it's not going to pop up needlessly. It's only going to pop up when you're already using it. And I think that honestly is very cool, because there are many times where I get the request to create a new field. I have to add it to the page layout. I've hit save. I made sure that the FLS is correct. And then I have to now go to my Lightning record page and put it there in the place that it should be. So I feel like this is just cutting down again on that administrative like muscle memory that we've all developed, where we do so many additional clicks, so many additional parts of our process to make sure it's visible to all users. I think they're cutting down on that, and I appreciate that. Blank spaces on forms. I think for at least my org, this was something that was desperately needed because it was, um, your end users are used to what they're used to. And if you're changing from page layouts to really embracing basically a dynamic form for their views, and the spacing is not just right, suddenly they get field blindness. And so I love the ability now to add blank spaces on my dynamic forms to really have those groupings for my fields like I did in my page layouts. And I think the number 3 is big as well. Tab conditional visibility. I think it's so exciting. I hope you guys are excited on this too. Previously, some workarounds I'd have to do was like, I'd essentially make 2 sets of tabs, and one set of tabs was available to, this group of users versus this set of tab was group available to another users. And both sets of tabs were essentially the same, except for that one tab that only that one group could see. Being able to do this now will cut down on how many components I have on my Lightning record pages and just make that process so much easier, because I get it all the time where we're designing a new app for a new business unit and they go, oh, well, can we make just this tab visible and then we'll put all of our reports and dashboards in there? And it's like, well, not really, but I can make it work. Now I can confidently say yes. Christy, do you like any of these, or do you hate them just like you hated my previous one?
Is that like all of these things?
Awesome. Okay, so I made you happy. Well, if you're happy with those 3, you're gonna be real happy with the next 3. Well, most of these 3.
I'm
Rich
super
text.
excited about the tab visibility, but I'm wondering if people will actually go back and update all of the workarounds and for the last however many years, or how long that will take people. That's like a whole additional cleanup effort, which is totally needed. I'm super excited about it, but I'm just curious how long it'll take people and if they'll actually do it.
I actually was having a serious conversation this week about like our next quarter. I just have to devote the time to like a significant portion of like just refactoring, because we've done so much in our past for hot fixes or the workarounds, and so much has become streamlined. It's a disservice to us if we don't like unwind those previous things so that we're set for future releases. But devoting the
Totally.
time is hard. This first one, number 4, okay. To be honest, it's kind of lame. Rich text headings. It's basically Microsoft Word when you go and get to choose a heading. That's what you now have in your rich text
I think that
component.
was super exciting.
I know the word. I 100% knew you were gonna love this one. I think it's all right, cool. I was able to, bold and underline things previously, but now I guess I have, I guess, again, a faster click path here to make something stand out. It
It
gives
also
word vibes.
standardization though, so that if you have a bunch of rich text components on various pages, you're not always trying to remember what size or styling you used. It'll help different admins apply the same style. I think it's great.
That's a lovely twist on it. I will accept that answer. That is great.
Thank you.
Compact density. So we can now, just like we do, in standard Salesforce, we can switch our dynamic forms from cozy to compact. This was another area where my end users especially were like, okay, well, you've given me the fields that I want to see, but now I'm seeing so much white space. So now we can reduce that white space with our compact density within the form itself. And I think that just greatly improves the UI experience for our end users. Last but certainly not least, this is my favorite one, is being able to view the Lightning page details when clicking on the "Where is this used?" button on your custom fields. I think this is a massive one, especially as we are using dynamic forms on more and more objects all over the place. If you have to deprecate a field or anything like that, being able to click on the "Where is this used?" button and see the Lightning pages it's used on, game changer. Like that's going to help immensely with cleanup efforts and with, modification efforts. You hate this one, Christy?
No, I like it. I was just gonna say, Mark put a comment that there's also a sneaky update where if a column is hidden next to a field that's not, it'll make that field full width instead of keeping it small with a blank space next to it, which I love.
Oh, good to
So
know.
not just if there's a blank space there, but if that's hidden through
If it's hidden.
visibility, they'll extend it, which is cool.
Mm, interesting, interesting. You will see that I put in our sales blazer because I figured salespeople would be happy about the visual changes we're giving them. Did you see that? It's a very meta. It's very meta. Thank you, Christy. Don't roll your eyes. All right. Field history tracking has finally gotten an update, and it's not the update you're hoping for. It is not, but it is okay. It's pretty okay. Um, we don't get the ability to track additional fields, but if you go to the setup menu and type in field history tracking, you now can see across all of your objects what fields you're tracking and very quickly updates, remove, add right from this page. So yes, you can see it when you go to the object too, but this gives you that more holistic view to quickly make changes as needed. I still want the ability to have more than 20 tracked fields per the big objects, but that's just me personally. But I still think that this is a notable improvement. Oh, 20 fields, I can't. All right, security. We got some good things here. We got some scary things for us. Something that I'm going to bring up once again. MFA is really here for real, for real, for real this time. For those of you who have not enabled it in your org, you've probably already seen the pop-up come up a few times letting you know you want to check that box to enable MFA for your org because you are out of compliance. Once again included the rollout link documents. It can be sometimes hard to find, so I put the true link here, the one that doesn't take you to a 404, and that has the download information for everything to get your org MFA enabled, because they are really not joking around this time with their time constraints, and now they're throwing like it's in your contract at us, so we really have to make sure our orgs are MFA enabled. Um, Freezing users permission set. This is so cool. Okay, so for orgs that have people in different time zones, for orgs where the admin is in Hawaii, but your orgs are in China, this is a great, great permission set to quickly create. Label it freeze users, and then in your quick find box in your permission set, just literally look for freeze. And that is now a checkbox that you can enable and provide that permission set to the users that you decide. What we had to do previously is basically take a user that we trust, have them perform a blood oath under like a full moon, right? And tell them, listen, I've given you modify all permission, but you cannot do that. You are only allowed to freeze users. Now we don't have to do that. Now we can assign this freeze user permission set. And if there's something happening in London while I'm asleep here in San Diego, it can be quickly taken care of in that moment. And we all know what I'm talking about. When people are offboarded in a quick manner and things need to be done in a quick manner, we now don't have to worry about a late night Slack message or panic overnight. We can assign this permission set to other users who can quickly freeze a person. I think it's super cool. I enabled it the second I saw it, and I told the person that I trusted over in the UK, I was like, girl, I got something for you. So I think everybody should make this permission set. View summary on users. Okay, this is also very cool. This is something that we've used, from various free app exchange packages. It's now within Salesforce, but you can go onto any user and quickly select view summary and see all of what they have access to. And it has a wonderful tab structure, so it allows you see by object, by field, by permission sets, all of these different ways to see exactly what your user has access to. And so this will help with debugging. This will help with the user says, I can't see this field, but Jeremy can. You can quickly just do this at the user level. I can't, like, the debugging for our daily tickets is going to be so much faster because of this capability. You also have this capability on permission sets and permission set groups. So you can quickly see, I know I do this to myself. I don't have a standardized naming for the permission sets that I create. So, 6 months ago, Tracy could have made a permission set that says, view and or create and edit public dashboards. And I made that. And then a month ago, Tracy's like, I don't see that. I swear I made a permission set for this. I must not have. I'll create a new permission set and I'll label this one can edit public dashboards. So now I have two permission sets that are basically doing the same thing. I've created chaos for myself. Being able to view the summary of what a permission set can do or permission set group can do will help me to clean up what already exists, but also make assigning them out in the future that much easier. So I
I've
think that
used that
cool.
view summary button like 12 times just today, I think. So,
Really?
yeah,
It's really
super helpful.
helpful. I love how they organized it under the tabs, like, I was worried I would be the victim of like, a doom scroll, but they didn't give us that, so that I thought was really cool.
Yeah, they did a wonderful job on that.
Mhm, mhm. Alright, going with the flow, time to turn into some flow improvements. Checking for dupes. This is so cool. You'll see this within the create element, but you now have this ability to check for dupes, and you have two actions that you can essentially take as a result of this. You can either skip the dupes that you find, or you can update those dupes that you find. So this is great. I'm thinking about your lead flows, your contact flows, maybe even your account flows, depending on who you let create records in your org. This will help so much. Just from experience, allowing users to create accounts, we all enable our users, like, hey, before creating an account, be certain search for it by name. But we also know that companies go by different kinds of names, and we also know that end users can be a tad cavalier or casual. Casual, they can be a tad casual in how they search for the account before they go, it doesn't exist, I'm creating a new one. Imagine being able to create a flow that guides them better through it, checks for the dupes before we allow them to create, or before we allow them to do an update. So think of it in that way. I think this is really cool and can be used in a lot of different flow scenarios.
That can I ask questions? I haven't
Yes,
played
of
with
course.
that one yet.
Yeah.
So the matching happens just on the criteria you specify here,
Yes.
not like matching rules that you would already have set up for like duplicate management.
Not that I've seen, but I'm hoping that we can call matching rules in the future.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I like it.
Right. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. The is blank operator. We've all done this. We have to enter a condition and we use the equals and then we put in the blank value. We no longer have to do that. We can just use the operator of is blank and set that to true. So that will clean up a lot of our flows that we all know we have the former option in there for. Um, you
We
can now,
also got is
yeah,
empty
yes,
along with this, I think, which I've used also numerous times in the last week or so to check to see if there's anything in a collection, which is
yeah.
extremely helpful.
Oh, that's awesome in a collection. That's super cool.
Yeah.
You can view your flow elements by label. This sounds really good for the people who do not put sassy names in their flow labels. I This is a wake-up call for me that I have to label my things more appropriately, because honestly, this is a nice feature. It's not the best, but it's nice. And why I say it's not the best is because you can view the label when you hover. So it's still by default when you're in your toolbox, it's still showing the API names, but if you hover over it, it'll show the label name. So it's like, okay, it's an improvement for sure, and it's definitely a warning call to me who labels her flow elements like, sassy sales rep claims he needs this. Here's my get. I need to improve in that area. So that's looking at these flow elements by label actually works for me as well.
I
The
think
last,
that
yes,
is that for the actual flow elements or for
that's when you're
like
in the
the
toolbox.
fields? Okay.
Yep.
Because you also have this now on like if you're doing a get records or any sort of anything that has record variables in it, you can hover over like the field name and see the label and the API name
Yeah.
and I don't know, something else, which
Yeah.
has also been super helpful,
Yeah.
specifically in orgs where they have like 12 fields that are named the same thing for some reason, but then you look at the API names and see that, seven of them are from random installed packages. So
For the record, for any org
super
that has
helpful.
CPQ, you can guarantee that there will be objects where there's the same field name at least once.
Yes.
Take pity on them. Come on now. Don't be so callous. This last one here, no, Slack, go away. Auto-generated element names. Not as cool as it sounds. It basically just says, like, let's say you have 3 gets on your flow, it'll call it get records 1, get records 2, get records 3. So if you are like me and you have, painfully inaccurate element names, but they still offer more detail than get records 1, this isn't like the greatest feature, to be honest. It's a good lazy girl feature, but like I said, it's a slippery slope because if you have a very complicated flow and you're letting the auto-generated elements name just play out, you're just going to have what 15 gets, 15 decisions all labeled 1 through 15. How will restructuring that, refactoring that, debugging that actually work out for you?
I had to have a conversation with a developer about this
Mm.
just a couple of days ago. I was like reviewing a flow that they had built, and yeah, it was like action element one, action element two, and I was like, why would you name it that? And they were like, I didn't. It just did it for me. I was like,
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
doesn't make any sense. So let's fix it.
yeah. I mean, I can see this working when you're in, a sandbox and you're just sketching out an idea, especially if you're sketching out an idea that you want to quickly show your stakeholders of like how this would work. But I wouldn't push that to production in that state.
Yeah, I wouldn't even do it in a sandbox as sketching. I feel like that's when you would want to put what it's actually doing so then you can look at it and
True,
say, okay, step one, step two, step three.
true, 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 true. So yeah, it's an improvement, but I don't know. And then I'm going to finish with this one, dynamic gauges. So if you guys use CRMA, there's a ton of analytics improvements. There's sales analytics to posting to Slack improvements out the wazoo, but I know that's not true for many of us. So I kept it to the reports and dashboards improvements that I saw. And the only honest notable one was the dynamic gauge. You have to make sure that you enable it from setup first. So when you go to setup, go to reports and dashboards, and then you're clicking on the checkbox that says enable dashboard dynamic gauge charts. Once you've done that, when you go back into your dashboard and you click on your gauge chart, you will then see this image down here at the bottom where you can switch between your modes of standard versus dynamic. So that is a very cool feature. I think I have to play with it a little bit more because even though it's dynamic, it still feels like obviously the number has to exist somewhere. And so it's where are you keeping that number? Who's updating that number to ensure that this stays as cohesive as possible, but still a marked improvement. And I know something that's been on the App Exchange for a long time. So they fulfilled that one. And then the last thing that I'll share with you guys is list view improvements. Nothing to show, just a claim from Salesforce. It was a very lengthy article in the release notes, but they said that list view should now be loading faster. And the reason for that is they've switched from Aura to LWC, so everything should have a faster load time now. We will see. I can't be sure with that one because I feel like they promise faster load times and then we get stuff like Hyperforce. So I'm not sounding salty. Am I sounding a bit salty? A little salty there.
Yeah.
That was a little bit salty. But those are the high level release notes that I want to share with you guys. This is all that is, GA for all of us as of today. So go forth and use it. I mentioned where you had to enable and set up if you had to, but other than that, none of this is add-on. None of this is an additional price. And since the summer release just ended, it's in all of our production orgs.
Woo.
Yeah, short and sweet, but I figured the release was short and sweet too.
I haven't even had time to go through all the release notes yet. I feel every year that I'm a consultant, I have less and less time to look at release notes, which makes me really sad
Yeah.
because I used to be like so on top of them and I knew everything. And now I'm like excited by your dynamic form update.
Oh, there we go. Look, good. Depending on this group, you guys let me know. I didn't focus things on Service Cloud or the Marketing Engagement Cloud, but if that is in your orgs and you want to learn about those things too, I can add those to future release notes or future release sessions.
I think we
Uh,
do have a lot of people that are using Pardot, so account engagement
it's not
would
called
be good
Pardot
for
anymore, but
everyone.
yes, I can definitely do that.
I will forever call it Pardot.
I will
It's
always
in
love
my
the people
blood.
who call it Pardot.
Oh my God.
All right, do you wanna talk about, next month's session and get people excited?
Yeah, well, we already did at the beginning,
I know, but
but
people joined later, my dear, you sassy little minx.
whatever. Okay, so July, we'll be doing in-person gathering again with Own Backup, and they're going to do a presentation for us on bypassing Apex and flow triggers and any other automation you want to skip when you're testing things or loading a bunch of records. Should be pretty cool, and they're giving us food and drinks again, and their office was really nice, and it has a lot of parking, so
Great
can't
parking,
ask
no
for better
street
than that.
parking.
And
Please
free
come,
parking.
and free parking. And we will have more merch to give out. And I will extend this game. If anybody by next month can tell me the artist and the name of this painting, you get free stuff. Other than that, I think we're good. Yeah, Christy?
Yeah, if you hang out, Tracy,
Yes,
Yana wanted to talk to you because you never check LinkedIn, so maybe
I
you
don't,
guys could touch base right now.
for sure. Everybody else, thank you so much for joining, and hopefully we'll see you in person next